Men of Reddit, what do women do that they think is okay but is actually creepy? Story 1. Honestly, hands down, women who exploit emotions of men. We may not all cry in the movie theater, but we are not incapable of experiencing deep, painful emotional wounds. In general, it seems to be more acceptable for women to rag on guys for our image, like our height, weight, or income, while the flip side being that men cannot criticize women without being a pig. So yeah, women who nitpick guys for superficial reasons are creepy, arrogant, and covered with more red flags than a game of Minesweeper. Story 2. Being hypocritical about sexism. Hear about guy hitting girl. What in jerk? Hear about girl hitting guy. Well, what did he do? Older man hitting on much younger woman. What a creep. Older woman hitting on much younger man. You get it, girl. Making small male body part jokes. Funny. Making fat jokes about men. Funny. Making short jokes about men. Funny. Making any jokes about a woman's appearance. Super not okay. Story 3. Tickling and getting pissed when I don't like it. Girl, I don't like getting tickled. I really dislike it. I don't care that it's some way to show affection. I don't want it. And for fudge's sake, it's not my problem, and I don't have to man up and take it. What the hell? No means no. Story 4. Tell me that my almost 2-year-old son is so handsome and going to break hearts be a lady killer. If I rolled up to a park and told a mom how good-looking her daughter was and that all the boys are going to want her, they'd call the cops. Story 5. Not exclusively a woman thing, but my ex would screenshot our text conversations and send them to her family and friends for reaction. Like mundane conversations, not even anything interesting. It felt like a very creepy violation of my privacy. Also, she was an idiot. Hope you see this, Laura. Story 6. Late to the party, but I haven't seen this mentioned yet. Distributing private pictures they get from guys to their friends without permission. I've caught several women doing it, and they'll argue about it if asked to stop. Yet another example of it only being an issue if the genders are reversed. Story 7. The way girls share really personal things about guys in relation to intimacy. Society and the media would have you believe that guys talk about intimacy all the time and just objectify the women that they've slept with. I don't know if maybe I'm just hanging out with the wrong people, but honestly, the most you usually get out of a guy is just that they had intimacy with a girl. And the only time we discuss details are when you're just like trading stories. But girls tend to like immediately report on things to their friends and share details that honestly could be embarrassing or uncomfortable. For the guy, it makes me really uncomfortable and creeped out to think that if I sleep with the girls, I have to just accept that all of her friends are going to know every detail about the experience. Size, performance, how long it lasted, how I look. It just feels like a huge breach of privacy. Answer. Yeah, movies are fake in this situation because they probably figured it would spice up their otherwise bland dialogue. In reality, yeah, at most, a guy will say he scored, but honestly, not even that. Because really, it just comes off as empty bragging and pretty juvenile, and it makes you seem indiscreet if it happens to get around. And guys don't want to picture each other grunting and pounding and all that shoot lol. At most, maybe a old friend will say, "How's the girl situation?" And you either say you have a girlfriend or you're playing the field. That's as detailed as it gets. Story 8. Not creepy, but when a woman sees a single dad with his kid and feels it's okay to tell them they're doing great, I get they may feel like they're being supportive or whatever, but the stigma behind guys not knowing how to raise a child is infuriating. I have 50/150 custody of my child, And she's raised brilliantly by both me and her mom. I can guarantee mom never gets random praises just for walking through a shop with our child, though. It's not supportive. It's condescending as hell. And please stop. Edit. I've seen a few comments about accepting compliments. My daughter is an absolute delight and always gets genuine compliments from passersby. These I take with pride and a smile. The problem is from the people who approach in shock to see a dad alone with his kid and think he's either babysitting or just lost without a woman to tell him how to raise his kid and needs a patronizing pat on the back. Edit 2. Just to clarify, I always respond with a smile and thank you regardless of the way I'm approached. I'm not raging mad about this LOL. Story 9. Okay, so this is something both me and my brother had happened to us. We are both pretty young, around 20, but we were at some parties where people of all ages were around recently. At one party, we had just finished performing with our orchestra and we were still in our uniforms. Then when I was getting some beers, some random lady of over 40 said to me, "Would you like to change clothes? I want to look like I am in the orchestra." So naturally, I'm like, well, I'd rather not, but she was like, "Oh, please." And she kept on trying to talk to me. On another party, some lady, also of over 40, who was really seeking attention, started to hold my brother by the waist. My brother told me he was really weirded out by her. She tried to do this multiple times, even after I lured my brother away by pretending I needed to say something to him. I don't really know if this is something a lot of middle-aged ladies do, but them acting like that really weirded me out, and they seemed to do this as if it was the most normal thing in the world. Story 10. I've had this happen a few times, but I don't know if it is more common or less common. When I go to a bar for a drink on, say, a Friday night, I usually go with friends. I'll head to the bathroom, and sometimes the bar will be crowded, so I'll have to slip through a group of people. Several times I'll get rubbed or caressed by women, sometimes on the groin, sometimes on the chest or shoulders. It's not wanted, nor am I signaling I want to be touched, just saying, "Excuse me," and going past. It bothers me every time. Story 11. Went out with a group of guys last weekend. There were 6 of us, and this random girl started hanging around us like a lost puppy and just wouldn't leave. She was attractive, but so obviously desperate for attention that none of our group of guys really cared to give her any. This girl was just looking at everyone, batting her eyes and trying to hug everyone, but the guys were just pawning her off on each other. Not sure if this is pathetic more than creepy, but if a guy did the same thing, he'd be labeled with creepy. So yeah, she was creepy to me. I honestly thought she was the adult worker or something trying to sell services or some shoot, the way she was approaching dudes. It's not fudge normal. Story 12. Unwanted physical contact. Was out to dinner with a bunch of friends. Coincidentally, they were all women, and the waitress was hitting on me, which involved obvious compliments, which I don't care about, and putting her hands all over my shoulders and upper chest. We all had a laugh about it after, but I was seriously weirded out by it, and were the genders reversed, I guarantee no one would have been laughing about it. Story 13. As a gay guy, women seem to think that it's okay to touch me, in a general way, and sometimes even in a more inappropriate way. Lady, I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. Sure, we had a nice brief conversation, but don't touch me. Don't wrap your hands around my legs so you can gawk at the size of my legs. Don't squeeze my pec, or think that I want a hug despite never having met you before. I am avoiding physical contact not only to be respectful of your boundaries, but because I also have boundaries I don't want you to violate. Consent works both ways, always. Don't touch me. Answer. I was watching Wendy Williams one day, and she had Anderson Cooper on the show. I don't know why, but she started questioning his sexuality. Then she hugged him, and smashed her boobs against his face. The audience was laughing. It was super awkward, and you could tell he was uncomfortable. I remember thinking that it was intimacy assault. Why do straight women think it's okay to do that to a gay man? She should show respect and not touch him in any way, let alone in any intimacy way. And why are you so concerned about his sexuality? Why is it so important to you that a man, any man, be intimacy attracted to you? It was awful. Story 14. Touch my jerk without consent. Sometimes I just be performing my respiratory responsibilities and I feel a slight touch to my butt, and now I'm uncomfortable and confused because I'm too scared to turn around and find out who dared touch my precious bum. Story 15. Ex demanded I take down of a single picture of a platonic female friend who I have known over a decade and who is happily married to a mutual friend of ours. Said picture was part of a cluster of 8 total. The other 7 pictures were just group pictures of said platonic friend and mostly other male friends. Story 16. How has nobody mentioned this? It's definitely not most women, but it does happen sometimes. Get pissed off if you are not in the mood for intimacy. Like, WTF, you're a man, you always want to have intimacy. Do you not like me anymore? No, Andrea, I was just not horny that day. And yes, I liked you a lot. Holy crap, thanks for the gold, stranger. Story 17. Straight girls who go to gay bars to be all like, "Yas, Queen Uwu," and straight girls who go to lesbian bars and get offended when a girl hits on them. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes, and I know what rip inbox means now, LMAO edit 2. I'm on Redify. Love that for me. Story 18. Setting up traps to test us. Being upset with something we did said in your dreams. Lying to our faces when we ask direct questions like, "What is wrong? How are you?" etc. Edit. Thank you for the gold, kind stranger. Seems I hit a few nerves with this comment, all of which have affected us in different ways. Story 19. A few of my relationships have ended because my GFS wouldn't talk to me about an issue in our relationship, which is weird because, supposedly, that's a male trait. I just don't like confrontation. Well, the alternative is that I'm breaking up with you now because you've avoided talking to me about the issue for a few months when I keep trying to bring it up. So, edit. To everyone asked, how is this creepy? It's not. I wrote this on 4 hours of sleep. I thought this was just a "what do girls do in relationship that's annoying" type thread. Funny how I got gilded though. Never been gilded for. Being so off topic before. Story 20. This happened like 3 times in high school. Girls call you attractive as their way of calling you ugly, you know? Like some weird sarcasm reverse psychology thing. One of those times 2 girls were walking behind me in the hallway. One taps on my shoulder, so I turn around and she says she thinks you're cute. Then the other girl said she wants to stuck your male body part. I just told them I have a girlfriend because 1, I do, and 2, I know what they're doing, and I walked faster. Story 21. This might be a cultural thing for Latinos, but there were some weird intimacy comments said by female family members to my son when he was a toddler. They would call him "my boyfriend" and ask for kisses in a very aggressive way. When I changed his diapers, they'd stand around and say, "De quién es ese pip?" which roughly translates to, "Whose male body part is that?" Which led me to always change his diaper in a private room, even when told that "you can do it here, it's okay, we're all family." One of my aunts even commented on how his male body part has grown since he was a baby. Yeah, his whole body has grown. There's no need to talk about his male body part specifically. Step away from my child. I guess this is all done in a cute or innocent way, but I never liked it. Answer. I have an aunt like that. When we were kids, she would kinda in a playful way say, Where is the pee-pee? Where is the pee-pee? And chase after me and all my male cousins and pinch us down there with 2 fingers like you would hold your thumb between index and middle finger to prank kids about stealing their nose. Now, she's a grandmother. Does it to her grandchildren too? Maybe not touch anymore, but still the same play. What makes it creepier was she would do it with all family around and no one objected. Rather, some of them laughed. Story 22. Comment on my new girlfriend's post edit, "Holy shoot, this blew up." I'll add a little bit more backstory. Me and the old girlfriend, we had a breakup. I broke up with her because I was tired of the routine. Tired of dealing with the standards that she held me at. To be honest, I wanted to be cut loose. So I cut myself loose. She got a boyfriend quickly after. I just did my own thing. Before me and the new girl started dating, she was doing this. I was blocked on every social media and on messages itself. I believe she was just trying to be passive-aggressive. I appreciate all the upvotes. Reddit rocks. Story 23. Asking us if we want to buy them a drink. The last time I was out, a girl had asked me this, and I felt disrespected. She was extremely attractive, but opening up a conversation by asking if I want to buy you a drink is not appreciative. It made me feel like she thought I was a buster or something. Not all of us like to spend money on random girls just for a chance to talk to them. Story 24. Glamorizing the male body at work or in other non-casual situations. I've had coworkers speculating about the size of other coworkers' genitals in front of me, talking about private picture scenes of favored actors, talking about marital aids, etc. If a guy was similarly casual about intimacy, it would be considered highly inappropriate, but women seem to get away with it as innocent fun. Story 25. Touching you as the first step in hitting on you. I've had random girls at concerts walk up and grab my jerk without saying a word and wait for a response, or poke me somewhere and wink, again, without saying anything. It's not enticing, it's just awkward and creepy. Let alone, it would look a lot worse if I did that, but for some reason they think it's just playful or whatever. Story 26. Trying to isolate us from friends, especially other women, and family, because they want us to focus on the relationship and prioritizing her emotional needs over everybody else in our lives. It's under the guise of wanting to develop a bond and get to know us better, but if you're paying attention, you can tell what's really going on. Also, having gone through copious amounts of domestic violence training at work, both as a requirement for employment and as part of the job since I record trainings, it is painfully obvious that this is something men do all the time to control women. Most of it. This thread consists of things which aren't limited by gender. Story 27. Telling you how you feel because you didn't do something trivial. You don't love me, you didn't call me before you went to bed. No. I fell asleep because I was exhausted. Now I'm awake, still here, still love you. Let's not make it a thing. Story 28. Acting like mental illness is a personality trait, such as, "I'm sorry I said all those nasty things earlier, but I'm bipolar so it's okay, and I didn't mean it." Edit. I should have been more clear at first. This is supposed to reference those who use their conditions as an excuse to continue saying or doing nasty things, or reference those who pretend to be bipolar just so they can say nasty things and have a net to catch themselves in if they are called out. Story 29. Catcalling. It's as creepy and unsettling, albeit usually flattering as well, for men as it is for women. In that same vein, anything women think is creepy when done to them is probably creepy if done to men too. Story 30. I dated a girl who was overly sensitive to word choice. Case in point, one Saturday morning, I was out running errands. It was a beautiful day, and I texted, "It's going to be a great day." She called me crying, because When you say it's going to be a great day, it puts too much pressure on me to have a great day. Now, I'm crying. All I could think is, what the hell? We ended up breaking up because it was a Thursday, which had become our date night, and I was going to go to her place. She started crying and broke up with me because I assumed we were going to see each other that night. Story 31. As a beefy dude, and I have also asked other dudes who work on their bodies or happen to be athletic body type, I have come across experiences of women feeling very entitled to make comments and even at chance get handsy. I am not going to play victim. I was not traumatized, but it is very uncomfortable. Tipsy girls? I have been at places like concerts or amusement parks and have had girls find the way to bump onto my darn glutes, accidentally hold on to me, or feel you at times. It may not be common, but it's certainly off-putting, and you're not going to places like amusement parks for this sort of interaction. Story 32. Making inappropriate comments or blatantly hitting on me at work. I work in the medical field and it's a constant problem. It happens when patients and very seldom with coworkers. It gets laughed off, but it's a huge double standard, especially in today's social environment. Story 33. Perhaps not creepy, but I went to a metal concert to which I had planned to go alone. My girlfriend then suggested one of her female friends to go with me. I was relatively indifferent and just said that, yeah, as long as she likes the music, why not get to know the people you spend time with? Fast forward 1 week. During the concert, my girlfriend gets jealous of the friend she herself invited to go with me, calls me constantly, asks if I made out with her friend and threatened to break up. I was hard-pressed not to laugh. The plan seems to have been to send someone to keep me under a lens, which backfired on account of the next layer of her trust issues. Story 34. Concerts are super grabby. I was at one, the only one I ever went to, with my wife. I felt her grab my jerk. I shrugged my shoulders, whatever. Then I felt her hand get ripped off me, and I turned to look at her in question, only to see her glaring at this younger girl, 20, who was trying to slink away. Turns out it hadn't been my wife grabbing my jerk. Story 35. God, yes. Nail right on the fudge head. I feel like I'm not even allowed to be uncomfortable sometimes because I'm supposed to have a sense of humor about everything or be a stone-cold, emotionless rock. And if I even get a little emotional upset during a fight or something, I get the condescending, "Oh, you gonna cry?" It's such bullshit. Story 36. I had a girlfriend who would do that. I told her to stop, but she said it was all good things. I had her friends asking for more details and if I could give their boyfriends tips. I asked my girlfriend if she'd like it if I discussed with my friends about how her vulva looked, felt, and tasted. She said that was different and gross. Yeah, no, gotta love those double standards. Story 37. One annoying girl that unfortunately hanged out with my friend group kept doing this to my friend. I think she liked him. I proceeded to baby voice at my friend immediately after she did it. It eliminated pretty quickly. Story 38. A friend and I game quite often in voice chat over Discord. He never has push to talk on, and I can hear him and his GF having baby voice conversations. Needless to say, when that starts, I either mute them or bail, as I feel the need to vomit. Story 39. In middle school, I used to get touched by girls. I never know how to feel about it, but in high school, I felt totally disrespected with jerk grabbing and touching my hair. If it's not okay to do that to women's, then it's not okay to do it to guys either. Story 40. My friend does this with our conversations and her boyfriends. I've mentioned a few times that I dislike it. I'm not sure if she thinks I'm joking or just doesn't care, but it honestly really bugs me. That and taking pictures of us when we aren't expecting it so she can embarrass us later. It boils my blood, honestly. Story 41. I was dropping my kid off at my ex's place, and her new boyfriend was there. She introduced him by saying, "This is Dan, he works at wherever it was and makes $116,000 a year." The poor guy looked deeply uncomfortable. Edit. That wasn't actually the first time she told me that. She texted me about it once before saying something like, "I really want you to meet Dan. He gets paid $116,000 at Fuck Off Inc." Story 42. Sounds like my sister. She's getting married early next year. Bless the guy. He's great and I look forward to calling him my brother. But I'm going to be very impressed if they last more than 5 years because she describes him like a checklist rather than someone she likes. It's kinda sad. Story 43. This has always messed with me. I can literally count on one hand the number of times men in my life have discussed a woman intimacy or objectifyingly, and 3 of those times we were like 15. But it's just taken as granted that all men are constantly waiting for the women to leave the room so we can rate their tits. Story 44. Yeah, I learned that really fast. There's too many people who know about my performance. It helps that I generally don't give a shoot what other people think of my personal life, but it's still kind of ridiculous. Story 45. That happened to me. I was about 6 months into the relationship and started going to her friends' parties more. They would all separately come up to me, "So, I hear you're quite the freak in bed." I had honestly thought what we did was pretty average, but it made me uncomfortable for sure. Story 46. Yeah, movies are fake in this situation because they probably figured it would spice up their otherwise bland dialogue. In reality, yeah, at most, a guy will say he scored, but honestly, not even that. Because really, it just comes off as empty, bragging, and pretty juvenile. And it makes you seem indiscreet if it happens to get around. And guys don't want to picture each other grunting and pounding and all that shoot lol. At most, maybe a old friend will say, "How's the girl situation?" And you either say you have a girlfriend or you're playing the field. That's as detailed as it gets.